There is quite a lot of positivity floating around Aston Villa Football Club right now. So I thought, what better time to capitalise on the optimism and maybe go into dreamland a little bit and do some really bold predictions for our January transfer signings. So today we're going to be looking at Andres Garcia, Donyell Malen, Asensio, Disasi and Marcus Rashford at the end of the video. So stick around for that one and making some bold, perhaps outlandish predictions about how they will fare for Aston Villa in the second half of the season. That is including the Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League. If you are enjoying the football and Aston Villa content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe down below with notifications on so you never miss a thing, and comment your bold predictions for each of our January signings, whether it's before I make mine or after. I'd love to hear it. Let's go. So first, I think we have to understand what Villa have got left this season. So we have played, I think, 23 or 24 Premier League games, which means we have about 14 games left in the Premier League. And then we have also the FA Cup, as you can see here. We beat Tottenham 2-1. Our next game is at home against Cardiff in the 5th round. So a game that you'd imagine we'd be able to get a few goals in and hopefully get a win. There it is right there on the 1st of March. And then obviously we're still in the Champions League as well, which is a bit further down the fixture list here as well. We don't know who we're going to be playing just yet. So that one is still up for debate. But if we look here in terms of our Premier League games we have left, we do have Ipswich. Again, perhaps you'd say we could get a few goals in that game. Then we do have to play Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Manchester City, Tottenham again, and Manchester United at Old Trafford on the final day of the season. So it's not going to be an easy second half to the season by any stretch of the imagination. But what is it, 14, 15 Premier League games possibly? You know, that's the 5th round of the FA Cup. It then goes to the quarters, semis and final. So possibly 4 games in the FA Cup left. That's about 18 games. And then, hey, if we're really being optimistic, we could have 4 or 5 games left in the Champions League. I think the quarters and semis are still over 2 legs. So that's, what is it, like 8 games possibly, maybe? So all in all, if we go as deep as we can in every competition, which is a big ask, especially for the Champions League, we could still have, let's say, conservatively, 22, 23 games of football left, maybe even as far as 25. So that's to take into consideration before we get in to the predictions. And we're going to kick it off. We're going to work the way from the back forward. So we'll start with Andres Garcia. As you can see on the screen, this is Andres Garcia's stats against Tottenham, where he played the full 90 minutes when we beat him 2-1 in the FA Cup. And he actually really impressed me. A 7.4 rating in this game. He completed 84% of his passes, 2 successful dribbles in the game as well. 4 out of 6, so 67% on his accurate long balls as well. He won his only tackle, 2 clearances, an interception, 4 defensive actions, 3 recoveries. Was only dribbled past once. He won 67% of his duels as well, which was really, really good. And I just think he really, really impressed me. So what is my bold prediction for our brand new 22-year-old right back? Let's not forget, signed from the Segunda division in La Liga. So La Liga's version of the Championship. But hey, we signed Morgan Rogers from the Championship, and certain people on certain podcasts said that Middlesbrough had our pants down for £10 million. And look how that one has worked out. Now, Matty Cash is injured for the next couple of weeks, which means you would imagine, unless we move Konsa out to the right-hand side, which I feel like we might do maybe for the Liverpool game, if Matty Cash isn't back, that isn't played Disasi in the middle, if Mings or Pau are back, then, you know, Garcia could get 2-3 games in a row in the starting 11 for Aston Villa. And that, for me, might be enough for my bold prediction to come true. And that will be that by the end of the season, Andres Garcia will be Aston Villa's starting right back. And all of us are going to stop moaning to sign a new right back in the summer. Now, next up, we move to a player that we haven't actually seen play for Aston Villa yet this season, and that is Axel Disasi. Now, he was cup-tied and will not feature in the FA Cup, however, was included in our Champions League squad. Andres Garcia and Donyell Malen missing out on that one, which means you would imagine, considering he is cup-tied for the FA Cup and we might go deep in that competition, he is going to have a key part to play, especially covering Konsa in the Premier League and in the Champions League. He can play, across the back four. Primarily, I think we've signed him as a right centre-back. I think in games that we have to defend more. So I'm thinking your Liverpool games, your Man City game. Don't know what happened there. And in the Champions League, if we do progress and, we have to play the likes of a Real Madrid, someone like that at Barcelona, if it gets to that point, I feel like we might trust Konsa at right back a little bit more because we're going to have to sit in against those teams, right? But what is my bold prediction for Axel Disasi? Well, I think he will play a decent amount of minutes for Aston Villa. Matty Cash and Ezri Konsa both currently have their own injury concerns. We still don't have a left-sided centre-back fit. Pau Torres and Tyrone Mings close to coming back, but not back yet. And like I say, he was included in the Champions League squad, so I think he's going to have a big part to play in the European competition. I think he will play 15 to 20 games for Aston Villa on this loan spell. And my bold prediction that he is going to do good enough for Aston Villa to strike a deal with Chelsea in the summer, and he will become a permanent player on the completion of this loan. Next up, we move to Donyell Malen. Again, one of the unlucky ones that missed out on that Champions League squad, which makes you think he is going to have quite the impact in the FA Cup and the Premier League. So what are my bold predictions for Donyell Malen? Well, in the league, I believe he is going to get to 8 goal involvements. My guess would be 5 goals and 3 assists, and play a good part in us getting back into Europe. Where I think he will shine will be the FA Cup. I am backing Donyell Malen to be Aston Villa's FA Cup hero. Played very well against Spurs, I thought, before he came off. Crucial part in our second goal as well. Technically, effectively getting the assist, I suppose. He crossed it in. The clearance was poor, and Rodgers toe-poked us into a 2-0 lead. But I think that Donyell Malen will score 5 goals in the remaining FA Cup games and be a driving force for Aston Villa to win our first cup in what feels like forever. Now, we do play Cardiff. I think he could get a couple of goals there. There's some couple of other draws in there that you look at and you think if they get through, that could be a tasty fixture for Villa. Now, I don't think he'll finish as the top scorer of the FA Cup because I believe that like an Exeter player has like 6 goals. I know they've been knocked out now, but still, I think he's going to get a good amount of goals in the FA Cup, and he will be regarded as one of the driving forces for us winning that cup. And we move on to the bloody big boys, and the first one is Marcos Asensio, signed on loan from PSG, included in the squad for the Champions League. Now again, the data that we have on him does come from that Spurs performance where he came on for 24 minutes. And let's be fair, he may have rocked a lot of our worlds, specifically the Villa mums who seem to love this guy. Can't even tell you why. But in those 24 minutes, he completed 15 passes, 100% pass actually created. A chance that would be the one for Morgan Rodgers in that game. 20 touches, a successful dribble. Didn't quite get his crosses right, but he also won a tackle, 2 defensive actions, won 67% of his duels, and it was just an all-round fantastic performance. What do I think the future holds for Asensio? Well, first of all, I think we'll trigger that loan clause option where we get to keep him for another year next season. And I also think that Marcos Asensio is going to get a huge goal. I don't know where it's going to be, but it's going to be in the Champions League. I don't know what team it's going to be against, but I think he's going to have a huge role to play and score a goal that we will remember for years to come. Now, next up was England's future star 7 or so years ago. It is Marcus Rashford, as you can see on the screen. Let's analyse that Spurs performance. He came on, completed 12 of his 13 passes in the 24 minutes that he did have. 22 touches, completed 1 out of his 2 dribbles, won 50% of his tackles and really got stuck in, winning 4 duels, 3 ground duels at 60% and an aerial duel as well. Now, I've said it before in another video and I will say it again. Marcus Rashford, for me, is a make or break signing. Not only for Villa, because he's a big outlay, big risk with the amount of money we're paying for his wages, but also for Marcus Rashford. Now, I think he's come into Villa with the exact right attitude. I think the fans were already enamoured with him, and that Tottenham performance went a long way for us creating a new cult hero. But what is my bold prediction? It might be the boldest prediction of them all. I think Rashford will play in all 14 or 15, however many it is, Premier League games that we have left. And I think he's going to be on absolute fire. I'm predicting that Marcus Rashford, for Aston Villa this season, will score 10 Premier League goals and reignite his career and hopefully reignite us. Maybe even to make us pay £40 million for him in the summer. But I think he's going to get 10 Premier League goals. I think he's going to get at least 2 Champions League goals. And again, play a crucial part in our FA Cup campaign. I don't think this loan is going to be a flop. I think Emery's going to get the best out of him. And I think the best of him is going to be one of the best in the league. And there you have it. They are 5 bold players, 5 bold predictions. Probably a little bit outrageous, a couple of them. But oh well, we're here to have some fun. Do you know what I mean? If you are enjoying that type of stuff, then leave a like. Comment down below your bold predictions, of course. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Up the Villa.